How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer from San Jose, California, and we will be talking wrestling for the next 2 hours. We've got Bryan Alvarez on for the first half hour, and then we also have Raven, who will be on with us right from the start of the show. He's going to be here for the entire 2 hours, so we'll be taking your phone calls, 1-877-392-3200, your emails at davemeltzer@iata.com. We're going to start with the news. We've got Bryan, you up right now?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I was going to ask you a whole bunch of stuff, because I don't know anything that's going on. I guess when we start, did Beyond the Mat get an Academy Award nomination?
No.
It did not. Was it all announced? I mean, is it like final that it didn't, or what's the story on that?
I pretty much saw all the nominations this morning, and for documentary, it wasn't in there, so I think that's the final nominations, but I could be wrong, so you might want to have somebody call, but, I mean, as of right now, it's not up there.
Okay, I'm going to go check on it, because somebody had told me that that the best documentary wouldn't be up until Wednesday, but then I don't know, I kind of heard that they were all going to be announced this morning, so I guess it didn't. Bryan, real quick also, I got a bunch of emails when I got home about what Joey Styles said on the Law show, but what did Joey Styles say in the press conference, and what's that all about?
I am almost absolutely certain, and the only reason I can't say absolutely is because I don't have it on tape, but I'm almost certain that what he said was that there was a good chance ECW could surpass WCW in a couple of months.
I find that that's believable.
In what? Not in TV ratings. It's not believable at all.
Why not? If we get cross-promoted, which maybe that's what they're alluding to, which I'd like to see, if people knew, like, if they started advertising on Raw and Nitro, nationally, which I know obviously you can't buy national spots, but they, basically canvass it like other shows do, I think we could easily get those kind of ratings. I just don't think enough people know we're on the air. I don't think enough people know we exist.
I don't think you're going from like a 1-1 to a 3.
I think the only problem that would really stand in the way, even with all the cross-promotion, is the time slot that ECW has right now, Friday night.
What?
No, but that's not really, the number of people watching TV on Friday night, it's about 10% less than Monday night, but...
Aren't they in the 2s anyway?
They did a 3-7 last night. They did a 2-7 the week before.
Okay, so I was thinking 2-7. So so you figure they're in the mid-2s. We're in the low mid-1s. I definitely think we could be competitive if we got if there was advertisements on Raw saying, "Hey, you like this show? Check this out," and a 30-second spot of guys going through flaming tables with thumbtacks, and a barbed wire dildo or whatever the hell, I mean, just whatever kind of crap we could come up with, being facetious with the barbed wire dildo, of course. But, and people go, wow, I gotta watch that at least once. And once they watch it once, Paulie's a master of episodic television. They're gonna go, ooh, I gotta watch this next week. He's gonna, like, the commercial will get you to go, I gotta watch that once. It's like one of those, one of those shows where, like, they promise death and destruction, real-life police executions, or, the whole Fox line of real programming where people look like they're going to get hurt, when animals attack. You see a 30-second spot for us, and you go, I'm going to watch it once. The difference is you watch it once, are you going to continue to watch it? Is it going to be one good rating? Or, and you may miss it the first time. So if we do like 5 weeks of national spots, I think we're going to have viewers, because sooner or later everyone's going to tune in to see us once. You watch us once. If you're a real wrestling fan, if you're a pretty strong casual fan, you're going to tune in twice and 3 times, and you're going to be hooked. No, I truly believe that.
I really don't think there's a chance that it's going to beat WCW numbers, and not in the next couple months. The only way it could is if by some means they get on USA Network on Monday night, like if Vince abandons USA, then I think that they could be pretty competitive, but not on TNN, unless
TNN they're in like a huge amount of cable homes though, aren't they?
They're in the same amount of cable homes almost as I think TNN's about 75.8 million, and I think let's see, TNT's about 77.2 million. So they're all, they're roughly the same. But I just don't see it. You're talking about you'd have to basically almost triple your rating to be where they are now.
You have to double it. We're doing a 1-3. They're doing a 2-6.
You haven't done a 1-3 in weeks. You did a 1-1 this week. They did a 3. They did a 3-7 this week, although that's unusually high.
That's because it's unopposed.
That was because it's unopposed. But, you know, I mean, for a 2-hour format.
So they're averaging a 2.6, and
they're not averaging a 2.6.
They've only done a 1.2, 1.3.
They're averaging a 3. They're averaging a 3.1 in the 2-hour format. You're averaging about a 1.0 or a 1.1. You got a triple.
Oh, maybe we got a triple. Okay, so
that's a lot.
Then okay, then give us a few. Then maybe my estimation's off. All I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is, and I don't even know what Joey said, but
I don't either.
I would expect you to concur with the fact that if people knew we were on the air, they would be watching.
Believe me, I think that your rating's going to go up, and I don't think theirs is, but I just don't think they're going to cross paths that fast.
Well, I'll put it this way: as far as like the big three, I think that
I do think Roller Jam's going to go by a rate.
What was that?
I think Roller Jam's going to go up like a son of a bitch to that Rockin' Bowl.
I think pay-per-views, they could be competitive really soon. I think
they're pretty darn close to
chance that,
yeah, pay-per-view, you're already competitive.
Yeah, 15,000 buys separated the last pay-per-view?
That's absurd.
20,000 buys separated the last pay-per-view.
So they're close there. As far as house shows, I mean, I think there's a chance they could be competitive there.
You know what our problem with house shows is just a lack of promotion.
Yep,
you know?
That's exactly it.
Greg Bag of Donuts. You know?
The thing that you guys have is you don't have the promotion, but when you put on a show, it's a pretty packed show. Whereas WCW can promote them all they want, but all they do is they promote the killing of a town.
We got some lively-ass people, too. I mean, you got guys like Van Dam. I mean, even though he's out, but, you know, these guys go 30 minutes. 20 to 30 minutes is just nonstop. I mean, acrobatics galore, you know what I mean? You know, so you got that aspect. Then you got, like, Balls Mahoney, who's going to, you know, catch himself on fire. Then you have My Match, which is a soap opera, you know, like a WWF-style soap opera match. I mean, you got the whole gamut. And the people are so lively and so into it. I mean, it's truly, you know, and I'm kind of pissed that everyone stole this from me, but I was the first one to coin it. But it's the Rocky Horror Picture of wrestling. You know, it's it's not quite the same with the fan participation as it was because the fans used to bring foreign objects.
Yeah, when the fans brought the weapons, it was, yeah.
It was you know, now they take them away for insurance purposes, but it was like now that's why I don't even fight in the crowd because it's boring. I mean, all you can do is punch in the crowd. Whereas in the old days, you know, somebody hands you a Godzilla doll, next guy hands you a cheese grater. I mean, oh, it was so cool, you know. But the atmosphere, the people still feel like they're the Rebel fans, you know, and I'll tell you, you know, it's like we were. You there?
I'm here.
All right, my phone must have clicked. Anyway, we were at this bar, the Boathouse, on Saturday, and telling you, the place, it was ridiculous how mad crazy these people were, and what's cool about it was like during one spot, me and Mikey fell out of the ring, went out to the thing, and then I punched him back through the curtain, right? Then, you know, and then I shook hands with everybody in the locker room, turned around and far right back out of the curtain, you know, just to entertain the boys, you know, behind the watching at the curtain. But there was a deep section of the fans that couldn't even see while we were on this side of the floor. And it was cool because they're like, hey, we can't see. And they got a little, hey, we can't see, Chan. You know what I mean? And it's like, but it wasn't like, hey, fuck you guys suck. You know, we can't see. It was like, you know, they felt like, hey, we're part of the show. Hey, include us. We popped right back up, gave them their view, and they applauded it. I mean, it was like, it's a really weird bond they got. You know what I mean? It's just, if more people knew about it, I just can't see people not wanting to be a part of it.
Okay.
It's addictive.
I mean, I completely agree with you about the house show quality, and you know, Brian, I think your comment was perfect as far as WCW does a great job promoting killing of a town. I mean, because they come in there, they generally promote the shows, you know, very well in the local market, and then, you know, you have the no-shows and you have the poor work rate, and you have 1/3 of the roster there, and
I'm telling you, when I was on the show, when me and Hack would be on the cards, and we would go out and have our prop match, you know, our carrot top match, and the thing was, the undercard, I would say for at least 3 of the matches, sometimes 4, there would be guys wrestling that hadn't even been on TV, that had either not been on TV in the last 6 months or hadn't won a match in the last 6 months. You know what I mean? On both, you know, fighting each other. Yeah. So, like, why would anybody care? Like, the last thing I want to see is 2, you know, jabronis fighting each other. I don't care if they're, like, the greatest wrestlers ever. I mean, if these guys, if they've never won on TV, you know, why would I pay to see them?
Kind of like the demon, huh?
Hey, Del Torberg's a good kid. He means well.
I know, but it's just like they spend all this money. I mean, I was back there last night at Nassau, and I saw this giant coffin-looking thing, and this big. They got to wheel this thing out, and this guy comes out, and they beat him in 10 seconds. I'm going like,
no, they didn't.
If you're going to beat him in 10 seconds, why don't you save the coffin when you got your own like Undertaker or something?
All that stuff has to be contractually that they have to do that. They have to be obligated.
I know that, but still, then get someone who they'll let win. I mean, it's just like.
But it's like that's the entire point. They were like forced into this goofy thing by Kiss, and so they're just going to absolutely just kill off the character dead.
They made a big production and then just killed the guy off.
Yeah, every week they do it every week. It's not like they just did it last night. Yeah, it's not like they just did it last night.
Well, I don't watch Nitro. I only watch Raw.
Yeah, well, I unfortunately I was at Nitro last night, so.
Well, part of your job description is you have to watch the program, whereas I can pick and choose what I want to watch.
Yeah, I actually missed Raw last night, and it was like about 7 or 8 miles from my house, but I missed it. So we'll talk about that. What? Good show last night, Brian. Tell me.
Always a good show.
Tell me about Raw. Tell me about Raw, because I don't know anything about Raw other than I saw Benoit give Rock a German suplex after Big Show interfered, and I think I saw some Valentine stuff with Mark Henry and Mae Young, but the sound was off.
Oh,
that's not all I know.
Edible panties. Tremendous. She goes, I got a present for you. And she goes, I got edible panties. And then she was wearing like a teddy. And then she proceeded to put them on. And then she dove into bed. It was always, you can't beat that kind of energy.
And the lights went out, and Mark Henry said, tutti frutti.
Yeah.
Oh
my. That's showbiz.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
It was a real good show last night. They had Benoit beat The Rock. And there was interference by Big Show. You know, he gave like a pie face to Rock outside the ring, and Rock told like he was dead and threw him back in the ring. And the referee's out of position, so Benoit hit a German suplex with a bridge, and he just had to hold this German for
the ref
10 seconds while the referee's running to get into the ring, and I thought for sure they were going to drop it, but they didn't.
Yeah, bad play by the ref, but I mean, it happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was surprised he didn't just do the triple German and just roll him again and hit with another one, but I think probably Chris doesn't know the guys well enough. Being new, he doesn't want to, like, you know.
Yeah.
He's not just going to start picking guys up and throwing them, you know, against the proposed finish.
He did give him some chops, though. That was great.
Hey, I tell you, I mean, those 4 guys, you know, even though it's only 3 of them because Eddie's hurt right now, but have added so much depth instantly to the company.
Oh, yeah, and they've just taken the heart out of WCW. I mean, there's just like...
Let me ask you a question with this. What happened, Taz fought Hardcore Holly, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't beat him.
It was DQ because Crash interfered.
Yeah, is Taz in the doghouse or something?
I know he was told not to do suplexes. Did he suplex the guy a lot? Or no?
He suplexed Crash once afterwards, but it was like one Northern Lights and just one...
he threw a Northern Lights and threw one on Crash later. But, I mean, I'm just surprised. Hardcore Holly, his spot's like, you know, is mid-card. And I thought Taz was getting a mega push, and then all of a sudden he didn't even beat him.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was odd.
They started doing those vignettes with Taz, and the way they were put together was like he was going to come back in like a couple of weeks with this new, harder-edged character, and then suddenly he's just back on TV fighting Bob Holly and not winning.
Yeah, I just thought it was really bizarre.
Was it Bob or Crash? Oh, it was Bob?
It was
Crash. It was Bob. Yeah, sorry, Bob. Crash
look like it's
before. And then Bob actually cut a really good promo afterwards calling Crash Elroy.
Elroy Jetson, yeah.
Yeah, but he actually got a good pro. Like, it was funny. I was talking with
who came up with Elroy Jetson? Was that Lawler?
I think it was Jericho.
It was Jericho. Yeah, it was Jericho. That's right.
There was a really good exchange between Ross and the King. Something about gimmicks or something, and Ross goes, "You're not a real king. It's a gimmick." And he said it's really funny exchange.
And then Lawler goes, what about that hat? And Ross goes, it is a gimmick.
Ross is so good. Ross is absolutely, I mean, he's far and away the best commentator in the business. And I tell you, but my favorite thing he ever did, though, was when him and Hayes were in the UWF. I don't know if I've said it on the show before, but if I have, I'll say it again. Get those tapes when Ross and Michael Hayes were together in the UWF.
When Michael Hayes used to go, what are you, a cop?
You what?
He'd always go to Ross. You know, like Ross would like like Michael Hayes would like overlook some heel interference or something, or heel, using a foreign object, and Ross would point it out, but the referee didn't see it, and then Hayes would go to him, "What are you, a cop or something?" Yeah.
Hey, what was great about Hayes was that he got the match over. He explained to you psychology, like why
he did a good job with
doing
psychology,
bad, as opposed to just cracking jokes and getting himself over.
Yeah.
He was also very funny, and he did get himself over, which he was supposed to because they were like the top heels. But he got the match over, which very few colormen do.
That reminds me, because I didn't hear any of the commentary last night. What did Mark Madden say about Sid Vicious? Because I saw the confrontation, I just don't know what he said.
I heard it was monkey in the middle.
Monkey in the middle? Okay. That's what I was told he said, but I didn't actually hear, I don't know exactly what it was, but he said monkey in the middle, and Sid thought he said monkey, and then Sid got mad at Mark Madden after the show for calling him a monkey.
What? What happened?
Oh, he came up to him and was just like, he was just screaming at him for calling him a monkey. Because Mark Madden said that, like, there's a three-way at the pay-per-view between Scott Hall, if he's allowed through customs, and Jeff Jarrett. Actually, Scott Hall, from what I understand, is supposed to be in Philadelphia tonight. But Scott Hall, Jeff Jarrett, and Sid Vicious on Sunday at the pay-per-view. And Mark Madden sort of was saying that, between Jeff Jarrett and Scott Hall, Sid Vicious is kind of caught like a monkey in the middle. And then Sid Vicious, after the show, I guess somebody, told him that Mark Madden called him a monkey. So it comes up, and and he's got his head busted open because Jarrett hit him with a guitar shot, and it busted. He's got all this blood coming from the back of his head. This is way off TV and everything. And he just confronts him, and he just goes, I know, you're trying to be funny in this, but I'm out here trying to draw money, and you're calling me a monkey, and I'm the world champion. And then Madden's trying to go, but I put you over big, and he goes, you called me a monkey. And it's like, oh, God. Oh, it was just like, it was a scene. I guess there was another scene there with Jim Duggan, which I didn't see, but was Jim Duggan even on the show last night?
No.
Okay, well, there was obviously something he was supposed to do, and it obviously got cut off the show because he wouldn't do it. And there was a big scene, before the show started in the cafeteria with Jim Duggan. I don't know if
Jim Duggan wouldn't do.
Jim Duggan said something to the effect of, I've been humiliated enough, that's it. So whatever it was, he wouldn't do it.
Is there going to be anybody left in that company?
Jim Duggan and the Wall. I saw the Wall wrestle Bigelow. That
was a classic.
Yeah, I saw the Prince score a pin on Billy Kidman in that tag team match. The Artist, formerly the Prince. Prince and who did he team with? Laparca beat Billy Kidman and Vamp when Vamp walked out on Billy Kidman. Oh! And he got pinned. Brian, are you there?
I'm here. I think we lost
Raven.
Raven.
Are you there? We lost him? Well, he'll be back. What's all that noise? SmackDown did a 5.2. Thunder did a 2.5. WCW Saturday Night did a 1.8. Livewire did a 1.7. Superstars did a 1.7. ECW did a 1.1. Sunday Night Heat did a 3.4. The Dog Show did a 3.9.
Oh.
Nitro did a 3, somewhere between a 3.6 and a 3.7. I got one that says a 3.6, one that says a 3.7. I haven't gone through the calculator yet. Going through the quarter hours, Hogan and Flair did a 4.4. Nothing else did. Since I was at the show, I don't know what was in which quarter hour. There were quarter hours of 4.2, 4.1, and 4.0. The Jarrett match listen to this. Hogan and Flair did a 4.4, and then Sid and Jeff Jarrett came back and did a 3.4.
Well, that's because they put Ernest Miller and the Maestro in between them.
Oh, the Maestro came out too?
Yeah,
I saw Ernest Miller. No, by then I was backstage. I saw everything up till the end of the Flair match, and then I was walking down, and I know Ernest Miller came out and said that James Brown was backstage, which obviously he wasn't, so they couldn't get him. I didn't know anything about I saw the Maestro 100 times, but I didn't know that he came out.
He came out and he confronted Ernest Miller, and they yelled back and forth at each other for a little while, and then just ran away.
Oh my God!
And that was following Flair and Hogan, I might add.
That's your question, Dave. Do you eat when you go backstage?
It's the same as if I go backstage anywhere. You know how that goes.
Yeah, do a lot of the boys, are they happy to see you, or they want to strangle you? How's it work?
It's pretty much. I didn't get any heat at all. If that's what you mean. I got, the guys I know were happy to see me, and the guys that I don't know, some of them, some of them shook my hand, and some of them didn't.
You didn't get beat up, in other words.
Right,
not even
curious.
close. No, not even close. Not even close. Nothing close. I was trying to think what the thing that was really scary about that show live was the crowd was so into Hogan. And it's really scary because, I mean, I really learned, there's one thing I gotta say I learned from last night, okay, and being there and everything. I can see what happens with all those guys that run the company and they go to those shows and they see Hogan come out there and Flair also as well, go out there and they're by far the most over people in the show, and it kind of blinds them because the diminishing crowds and like, you know, like last night they had 5,500 paid at Nassau. It's a horrible paid attendance for that building.
Wow, that's terrible.
Okay? I mean, they had over 9,000 in the ring, so in the building. So they had, you know, like 3,600 comps, okay? And, you know, the comps and the pay, they're out there and they're, you know, they're cheering Hogan like he's, you know, it's just a level below the Rock. I mean, it's huge. It's just a huge reaction.
It didn't used to be like that. I mean,
yeah.
I'll give you a good example. I used to get legitimately, and you can talk to anybody who will legitimately tell you, I would get as loud a chance or louder than him every time I was out there without nearly the push, you know. But, you know, it wouldn't make a difference because I was only Raven and he was Hulk Hogan. You know, I mean, he wasn't, you know, maybe Nassau, maybe he did overpower everybody else, but back in the day when he was getting, you know, when he was on TV every damn week, people didn't care that much. I mean, you know, he was over, granted, but considering his push, like, you know, I would expect him to be 5 times more over. There's a lot of guys, Eddie Guerrero would routinely get Eddie Sucks chants. They were definitely louder than Hogan chants. You know, DDP would get louder DDP chants than Hogan. You know, I would get Raven Sucks chants louder than Hogan chants.
They were at Nassau last night, and also if they had like 3,000 comps, then you got to think that that's like 3,000 casual fans who, you know, because I mean a hardcore fan is going to call the day tickets go on sale or whatever, and the casual fans will pick up the freebies or whatever. And if you got 3,000 comps there in New York, those are going to be the people that remember Hogan and Flair.
And you got to remember, that's Hogan's backyard. I mean, you know, that's Nassau Coliseum. That's Hogan's turf. That's where Hogan made his bones working for Vince. So I mean, and I'll give you a good example. One night, me and Bob Backlund went out. And this was years ago when I was Johnny Polo, the albatross known as Johnny Polo. And we went out and to some strip club, and Bob was just doing jobs on TV. And we walked in, and you know, I mean, he hadn't been on TV 10, 15 years at that point when he first came back and started doing jobs.
Let's see, it was about 9 or 10 years.
Okay, 10 years, and he was just doing jobs, and people thought he was a god. I mean, they were practically bowing. Which I love. I thought that was so cool because Bob's like the greatest guy. Just a sweet, you know, just a sweet, nice guy, you know. But I mean, these people were just like bowing to the, you know, the Northeasterners are like that. I mean, they have their favorites, you know, and they stick with them, you know, forever. And Hogan really, I mean, let's face it, he spent 7 years on top for Vince in the Northeast. And Nassau Coliseum, that's New York. I mean, that, you know, that's his backyard. You know, that's like the Sandman coming back to the ECW arena. You know, I mean, if he didn't get that kind of reaction there, I'd really be alarmed.
Also, I want to mention Raw did a 4.3. Where was the other thing on the Hogan thing? See, the deal with the Hogan thing is that like I could see where it like blinds the management that sees that pop. You know, you come out of the building going like, wow, you know, Hogan and Flair are way more over than everybody else. But the problem is that by booking in that way, you're just keeping the problem going because it's very clear that WCW has that old face image, you know, as the old company. And they've got to get rid of it, and they bring Hogan back for this, you know, for this cheap thing, but all it does is undermine, you know, the development of the young guys who are all still caught. I mean, everyone heard, like, if you listen to the show yesterday, you heard Billy Kidman, and I mean, you know.
Didn't he bury Kidman on some radio show?
Hogan did, which, by the way, we should get to that. Yeah, Hogan buried Kidman about a week ago, saying that he couldn't even headline at a flea market show.
Wow.
And he sort of went to some people and tried to act like he was doing it as a work, but nobody believed him. And in fact, last night, Canyon gave notice to WCW or tried to he asked for his release, and whether they'll give him his release, I don't know. But he asked, and among the reasons he said was that Hogan comment, because he said when Hogan made that comment, and you know that Canyon and Kidman are pretty tight. And he said that when he heard that Hogan made that comment, it was like, I mean, that's what the top guys really think of us. And, you know, it's sort of like, you know, you sit here waiting for it to change, and there's new management, and there's a new booker, but nothing ever changes, and he just wanted out.
I told Chris last week, dude, you know, we were out to dinner, and I told him, I said, you know, I don't know why you're sticking around. I mean, you know, you're way too talented. They're never going to use you that way. They're never going to see you. You know, it's like you got to leave to come back. You know, if you want to be a star, you have to go somewhere else to be a star to come back.
That's exactly how it is.
You know, that's funny is that's what everyone was saying backstage, is that the only way to be a star in WCW is to go to WWF first and make it there, and then they'll bring you back and put you over. And it's like, even if you go there and you're not a star in WWF, you know, like,
they'll bring you back and put you over.
Like Brian Adams is the perfect example of a guy who, or DOA. I mean, DOA, when they were in WWF, they were probably the bottom guys in that whole company. I mean, they were totally not over when they were there, and they come in WCW, and now they're part of the top heel group. I mean, the top heels on that TV show last night were, you know, except for Flair, were Jeff Jarrett, and Flair wasn't a heel. There was no one who booed Flair. I mean, even against Hogan got more cheers than Flair, but Flair got no boos in that building at all. But anyway, the only heels were Jeff Jarrett and DOA, and, you know, DOA, Ron and Don Harris. So, anyway, there's one thing, before we go to a break, actually we got a way to go to the break, but I got to ask you this. I'm not sure if we have any emails asking this, but I figured it'd be the first thing. What's the story with you and Paulie from, I guess about a week ago, with the angle with Justin and Lance and everything like that, and how did, you know, asking for a release or offering a release, or what's the whole story on it?
What happened was a miscommunication between me and Paulie, really. What had happened was, Paulie's always told me that if you disagree with something, then disagree, you know, and we'll discuss it, you know, and we will come to an agreement, you know, if you truly believe in what you think. And let me think back what it was. I mean, I've already been so far. I mean, I've totally forgotten the thing, but oh yeah, I know what it was. He had wanted me to go out there and get laid out, and I disagreed with that. I disagreed with working with Justin in the singles, you know, without proper build-up. I thought me and Justin, the first time we ever met, should have been as a single, should have been a pay-per-view match, but that's not my decision. Paulie saw us going in different directions, which is cool. But he wanted me to be laid out for quite a long time, and I just kind of felt, I was like, you know, I just disagree with that, because, you know, I don't mind doing it if everybody else is doing it, you know what I mean? But when I'm the only guy that continually sells, you know, sells to that capacity, you know, it's gotten me over it, and I truly believe in selling, but after a while, I think it's going to backfire. And that was the whole big thing, and we just went round and round with it, and Paulie had expected me to step up to the plate because Van Dam was more injured than he knew, so was Jerry Lynn, which I didn't know. He also, the night before, there was a miscommunication, so I didn't work, so... You know, I'm not thinking, you know, in my mind, why would I step up as a leader any more than, you know, what I normally do? Because I didn't even work the night before when I was dressed. And, you know, so it was a miscommunication. And basically it boiled down to, I think somebody had talked to the Sheets and given them some verbiage that was relayed to me, and so I defended my actions, which caused Paulie to make sure that he stated his case, and then I had to clarify the facts on that. And it turned into this like little cat fight that was just really silly and childish, which I intimated in my rebuttal. And the bottom line really was that Paulie said, you know, his point was you picked the wrong weekend to disagree with me, and my point was, well, you didn't tell me. If you would have just said it's the wrong weekend, I would have said fine. I said I'll do whatever you want. I don't agree, but I'll do it. You know, and that's really what it boiled down to. As far as me and Justin are pretty tight. I mean, like, he'll do anything, you know, anything that I say, you know, whatever I want to do. I mean, you know, I'm one of his favorite people to work with. In fact, the entire match, I called the entire thing in the ring. You know, that was another thing that got misconstrued. Paulie's going, you know, he's going, whatever, and I'm going, just ring the bell. And Paulie's like, you don't have your match together. And I'm like, ring the bell. And he's taking it, and everyone's taking it that I'm hot, you know, which to an extent I was about other things, but not about that, because I don't need to set up a match. And so we went about, I think we probably went about 15 total in the ring, probably over 20 with everything, and I called the entire thing in the ring, you know? And so Justin was ecstatic, you know, I mean, he came back, you know, happy as hell to be involved in a match where two guys called it in the ring and had as good a match as it was. And I just watched the tape last night, and mean, it's not one of my best matches, but definitely I think it was a hell of a match, especially considering we called the whole thing in the ring.
Okay, let's see. What do we have here? Let's see, Scott Hall. Any update on Scott Hall, Brian?
Nope.
Okay.
Didn't hear anything today. Hey, I got a question for you, by the way. Somebody emailed me that was at Nitro last night and said after the Hogan Flair match, like, a ton of people left because they thought the show was over.
They made it real.
For the Maestro and Ernest Miller.
They made it real clear. If you're at the show, it was made real clear that the main event, the final match. Well, they didn't really make it clear which order it would go, but several interviews were building up Sid and Jeff Jarrett, a lot more than Hogan and Ric Flair. I mean, Hogan and Flair did no interviews in front of the people. I think they did some backstage stuff. Well, another thing that was really interesting, because I was actually sitting with a couple of reporters last night, and the first time.
What kind of reporters?
As a book writer,
real
guys
journalists, you mean, or wrestling reporters?
I call them real journalists. They weren't wrestling reporters. So I'm sitting there, and they show Hogan backstage, 3-4 times during the show, and every time they show him backstage, I don't know if this came across on TV or not, but he was booed heavily, okay? And they're going like, oh my God, they're going to cheer Flair like crazy, and I told him, I go, the minute Hogan walks through the screen, everyone is going to go crazy for him. I don't know why. I go, these same people that are booing him, I go like, I'm pointing to these people that are booing him. I go, look at these people that are booing him, like at ringside. They're going to like pee in their pants when he comes out. I don't know why this happens, but they will. And they did.
It's the same as those fans that, the fans at ECW that are, that are so hardcore and so ECW, and they're like, screw everybody else, but then they're at everybody else's shows.
Yeah.
So. You know what's funny about that? Those fans, that's really funny. It's like, I remember like some of those guys where you see them like, the guys in the front row at ECW, because everyone knows them because they're the same guys that have been there since, probably 93, 95, whatever, and they're on every ECW arena TV, they're right in front of the hard camera. So you kind of know them, even though I actually don't know any of them. I kind of think like, oh yeah, I know that guy. So anyway, and you see them like when WWF, of course WWF's hot now, but even when WWF was cold, I just remember like one time that like, I don't know if it was the Bushwhackers, but it was some ridiculous comedy team out there, and they're out there doing like I think it was like a Bushwhacker walk, and I'm just going like, this is so funny. These same people who are like, we love ECW and screw WWF and WCW at the ECW show, and they're chanting, screw like, Dick Flair, whatever it was that the chant that Shane got going, and then when they would go to the other show, I mean, they would treat those same people like they were like gods,
It's all part of it. That's why it's Rocky Horror. It's all part of it. It's part of it being a part of the show. That's why wrestling's so much better than any other sport, because you never see the guy lose in the 18th hole and then raise his arms in the air like he won. Frankly, if I was a pro athlete,
actually, I've seen that in boxing a couple of times.
But that's I would be a total heel. You know what I mean? You'd get so over, it'd be ridiculous.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens to the XFL. What was it? I was talking to some people last night, and they just don't believe that Vince can do a football league without working the games. Where I was thinking, about
that for like 2 weeks now.
Yeah, the one where I was thinking about this was the big thing that everyone's saying is the difference between this and the USFL on the football. I'll get out of the football real quick, but the difference between this and the USFL when it comes to the thing is that Vince is not going to compete with the NFL because he's going to pay the guys less. And that I think we should do like an over and under poll on how long it takes between when after the first year the NFL siphons off every good player developed in the XFL, that Vince doesn't just go, like Paulie has to sit back and take it because he doesn't have the money, to fight. He can't fight WCW and he can't fight WWF when it comes to money. He can't do it. Vince has a ton of money.
Well, Vince is going to do a 5-year deal, so they can't go nowhere.
Well, it depends on how the deals are structured and then you've got certain guys that think they're good enough for the NFL. They may want to go to they'll choose the World League for less money because it's a ticket to the NFL. And then he's going to be stuck with it, even though he's got the second highest salaries, he's going to get the third-rate players because, if a player, the World League is basically a farm system for the NFL, and the Canadian League also, has working, ties with the NFL. So if Vince is going to sign these guys to long-term deals, you're going to get a lot of guys. You'll get the guys who think they have no prayer to make in the NFL will go, okay, I'm going to sign for the money. But anyone with an NFL dream, if Vince is going to make it a 5-year deal, they're going to go, well, this is giving away my dream to play, pro wrestling football.
I mean, mean, I'm not a football fan, so I don't follow it, but I mean, what you will probably get is more characters. You know what I mean?
Well, of course, that's what he has to do.
Right,
that's what he has to do to make a difference.
I mean, so let's say you're not quite as good, but you're 5 times more entertaining. You know, I think that they'll benefit with that.
Okay, now then here.
Yeah, but then on the field, if you're a great character but you can't catch the damn ball.
Well, I mean, if you're good enough to catch it, you know,
that means you're gonna have to start working the games, because if you've got this guy who's a running back who's like super entertaining like The Rock, but every time he carries the ball he's like too slow and they tackle him, I mean he's gonna have to like do something to make sure that guy gets his his couple of touchdowns, or else he can't do his dance.
I would think with the amount of people playing college ball, the amount of people playing ball out there, that there's got to be enough guys that are equally talented, not quite talented enough for the pros, but talented enough that are also characters, and you can get enough combinations of the two that you're going to pull, enough stars out of it.
Okay, but what happens when you got like the most entertaining of them all, and all of a sudden when he's on the field he can't do anything?
He's the worst player.
He's the worst. You get the best interview, and then he goes out on the field
I don't think he'd make it to that point. I mean, if he was that sucky, they would never use him to the point where you'd find out he was that entertaining.
Well, what if he's marginally good in college, but just not good enough at this level, but he's really entertaining and he can talk great? I mean, it's like there's just that lure of, what do you know what I mean?
You mean like the refrigerator?
Like the refrigerator. I don't know. But the refrigerator at least had his touchdowns that one year when we played on a Super Bowl team.
Hey, come on. The only reason he was on the starting line or whatever he was, I didn't even watch, was because he was a refrigerator. I mean, he wasn't a star athlete by any means, was he?
He was a great college player.
But he was a mediocre pro, wasn't he?
He was a mediocre pro. I mean, I'm not a big football fan.
But look at the notoriety he got.
But he was a gimmick. But he scored a lot. Well, the gimmick is that he scored a lot of touchdowns that one season, and the Bears went to the Super Bowl, and I think won the Super Bowl. I think they won the Super Bowl that year. So it's like you're on a Super Bowl winning team, and you're kind of the freak of the team. But if he didn't score those touchdowns, he wouldn't have gotten over. It was the touchdowns that got him over, and then the fact that he was 360 pounds or whatever he was. Brian, how much longer can you stick?
I got to get out of here.
Okay, Brian, real quick, tell everyone what's up on the website.
We got news updates today. We have the transcript of the Yahoo chat that I did last Wednesday. And when you read it, if you have any questions, go to the bulletin board because the answers are probably all up there already. Plus, we have reports from Raw and Nitro last night. We got a news report from yesterday, and the Online Observer and Figure 4 is up there as well. So check that out at WrestlingObserver.com.
Okay, thanks a bunch, Brian, and we'll be talking to you tomorrow. And
hey, guys.
Okay, we'll see you later. And we got Raven here for the next a little less.
He kind of rigged your eyes right there.
He what?
He just kind of rigged your eyes there. Rigged your eyes to that, I'm out here.
Okay. Okay, well, anyway, we got Raven here.
Wrestling terminology fits in everyday life. Like, everything in the world can be applied by wrestling terminology.
I've learned that too.
The longer you've been in the business, like, the more you use wrestling terminology, like, like if you go meet a chick in a bar and you get a little rap going and then the chick just blows you off, you got your eyes raked, I mean, it's amazing how everything reverts back to wrestling, and which makes me think of something. You ever seen the movie Tin Cup?
That's the golf movie, right?
It's a golf movie.
No, I didn't see it.
Tremendous movie. The guy Ron Shelton, the guy that did it, he just did that movie Played to the Bone, which was only okay. But he also did Bull Durham and White Men Can't Jump and Cobb. Anyway, it's a phenomenal movie. Kevin Costner, Rene Russo, and Don Johnson, little love triangle story. But I loved it because they all talked in golf terminology. It was like wrestling. You got to watch this movie because it's like, when you're around the boys and everything has wrestling terminology. The movie, they all used golf terminology.
Yeah, I've seen baseball people where they all use baseball terminology for everything too.
Well, rent the movie, and anybody who's schmizzard to the business will get a kick out of it.
Okay, two things real quick before we get to the calls. We've got a poll that's up and running. It's still not any wrestling questions. It's how old are you? So any of you who know basically your age, and since this is anonymous, you should really tell the truth on this one. So whatever age group you fit in, it's a real simple question. It's almost as easy as if you're a male or a female. And the other thing, regarding that.
I'm 35.
Is that your real age?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What, how old do I look?
Oh, I don't know.
Age is 55.
Page isn't 55. He's
I'm just saying that hopefully he'll be listening, but I doubt it.
Page is on here tomorrow.
Yeah, tell him I said he was 55, but he looks damn good for it. No, I think he's like, I don't know, he's early 40s. We always tease him to death, though.
Yeah.
He's a big brother I never had.
Yeah, you know that I was sort of told yesterday, I was in New York and talking to Bob Meyerowitz, who runs all this, and they said that they did they've been doing like demographic things for advertising purposes and stuff on all the different shows. And, I think 20% of the listeners to this are from outside the United States, which is, I guess, kind of impressive. The other thing was that on this show, as compared to every single other show, when they ask, like, where you're listening to, in the office, at home, blah, 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 what place are you listening, this show, unlike any other show on any of the IATA stations, had a high percentage of people saying that they listened to the show while in school. So I'm just wondering, it's like, I do remember as a little kid, and you may even remember this, sneaking the radio in and listening to something, in the middle of class.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, but how do you, sneak the computer in and listen to this show?
Well, I think, don't kid, I don't know how school works today, but, my roommate...
I don't either.
My roommate, he decided he was a musician, right? We've been best friends since 11th grade. He decided, music didn't work out for him, so he goes, I'm going to be a doctor. I go, you're 34. He goes, I don't care, I'm going to be a doctor anyway. So he tried himself off to med school. And, so he was going to buy a computer, but I was buying one too, but I still have no idea how to use it, but he takes it every day to school with him, so I guess, I know he brings it to school with him every day. But,
maybe he's listening to our show.
Until I learn how to use it, then I'm taking it back. Yeah. But I guess that's how, I guess these kids today, they take their computers to school.
Okay, let's go to the calls finally. We got Steve in L.A. Steve, you got me and Raven. Steve,
are you alive? Snap out of it, boy.
Let's go to Chris in Georgia.
Hello, how are y'all?
We're doing good.
Okay, sorry, you caught me while I was changing a diaper.
Fascinating.
Oh, isn't it?
Oh, my God.
First off, Raven, I just wanted to tell you that you're one of my wife's favorite wrestlers, and she doesn't like wrestling, so that's saying a lot.
Tremendous. I get that quite a bit, actually.
She something about the fact that I just absolutely worship the ground you walk on, and she's been submitted to watching you for a while, and she really likes you.
And what does she look like?
Well, she's pregnant right now.
Never mind.
She's pregnant with our third child, as a matter of fact.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, well, no more. No more at all. But I just wanted to call and tell you that you're one of the best wrestlers out there. I've been watching you from 96 on.
96? Who was I in 96?
You were Raven in 96.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just when ECW was on Sports South here in Georgia. It was being aired late night on Friday nights, and that's when I first got the taste of ECW, and I haven't been able to get off it since.
Now, would you concur with me? Like Dave doesn't seem to think that the ratings could skyrocket that rapidly, but I truly believe that if, although I just pictured in my head, how are you doing the computer and doing diapers? But regardless, don't you believe that if people knew ECW was out there, like if they were given 5 weeks of national spots on Raw and Nitro, that the rating would go up to at least a 2.5 in no time?
You have such a better product than WCW, it's ridiculous. I actually wasted 2 hours of my
I don't argue that, but I just don't think that the ratings are going to turn around that quick.
Well,
they've got the households with TNN.
Things always snowball. I mean, when Vince took off, Bam, he took off. When something, REM just hovered around I used to liken us to, I used to use REM as an analogy for us. We just hovered around underneath the radar. But then when all of a sudden, ECW, except I kept thinking we were going to break it big like REM, and we never quite did. But, right around the first pay-per-view, I'm going, it's going to catch big now. We just didn't have the national following because nobody knew that it was out there. But, when things break big, REM was like a huge college radio, right? And then finally, what was it, Murmur or Document or one of those? They finally had that hit single. And Bam, they were just colossal. Not forgetting the fact that they were pretty damn big before that.
If you want my opinion, and this I think really is the trick to it, when y'all start hitting the smaller towns, the areas that y'all have not been doing live shows, once people get to see you live, and once they get to associate it live and on television, then your numbers are going to increase.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. But I don't think it's so much going to the live. I mean, I'm sorry, to the venues.
I don't think so anymore either.
I think it's people. If you know, it's like we go to these towns and sometimes we don't sell out the buildings, and it's because no one knows we're there. You know what I mean? The whole thing is based around television. You know, it doesn't matter. We can go to all the venues we want. It's different than rock and roll in that constant touring isn't going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to do it. You need TV.
Well, I work at a television station, and I'm trying to get the programming director at the television station I work at to get hardcore television on.
Yeah, it's just a matter of TNN just doesn't. They won't cross promote us.
No.
They will. Although I did see a commercial. I was watching Raw last night, and I saw a commercial for ECW. Now, I don't know if it was a national spot or just a local Georgia spot or Atlanta spot.
Someone actually emailed us just a second ago and said that the TNN does advertise on Raw and Nitro in Atlanta, the ECW show.
Yeah, in Atlanta it does.
Yeah,
but I don't know, but I think they do it in all major markets. But I mean, but until they do it in all the markets, you know, people just and the thing is, I think it takes a good 5 days, you know, at least 5 to 8 weeks for people to finally give them time to catch the show. But once they see it once, I mean, I just really believe that they'll watch it every week.
It's must-see
TV.
Is not ECW the #1 rated show on TNN?
Oh yeah.
How do you not cross-promote your #1 rated show?
I don't know, and I'm kind of pissed off about this. I was watching Roller Jam the other day. They got pyro. I want some damn pyro.
Yeah.
You know.
Roller Jam. I don't know about Roller Jam.
I want to be on Roller Jam too.
But didn't y'all have
I can roller skate, damn it.
Didn't y'all have to cross-promote
you could get on Roller Jam. They would die to have you on that show.
I want to be on it. Tell them. I want to be on it, but I want a pair of quads. I don't like them damn inlines. I want a pair. You know, I can actually moonwalk on roller skates. Believe it or not. I used to be like a floor guard in a skating rink when I was like 7. I don't know if I told this story before either. I got a lot of stories. You know, you never know which stories I've told where. But I want to go on Roller Jam, man. That looks like a lot of fun. Plus, they got hot babes.
They got to get those girls on ECW.
Yeah, well, if you know anybody at Roller Jam, tell them I'll do the show.
I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone, but Mark D'Amato at one point, he and I were corresponding about doing the show, and then I lost his email address. So anyway, I don't know if it would be good for this show anyway. Really, you know, I mean, it'd be good for me because I just kind of be curious if a guy who's been doing this for who goes back to the 70s, but the wrestling roller derby crossover was like huge in the early 70s.
No, I want to do it just because I want to do it. I mean,
I don't think it exists now.
If roller derby would have been big, would have stayed big, I probably would have went into that. Although I don't know when I was like 8 or 9, if I had to make a choice, it would have been a tough decision. You know what I mean?
Hey, Raven, do you watch Roller Derby on Classic Sports Network?
No, I don't get Classic Sports Network.
It's great stuff. It's the original roller derby from back in the late 70s, early 80s.
You know what? I don't remember the stars, but I do remember my favorite high spot would be when they would all lay down on a big pile, and then the guy would have to jump over it.
I saw the guy, we talked about this on the show, I saw a guy do like a corkscrew plancha over the pile. Yeah, the last time you were on the show, yeah. I saw Evan Courageous do a corkscrew plancha last night at Nassau.
Evan Courageous.
There's something about Evan.
I guess if you got nothing good to say about someone, don't say anything at all.
There's something about Evan Courageous. I mean, I used to think like it was almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Like he was like the epitome of everything wrong with wrestling for a while there. But now, since he's been on every single week, and that gimmick is so unbelievably goofy, and the other two guys are hilarious.
I actually kind of like the gimmick.
Yeah, I know. I'm like starting to like it. But okay, now here's the other thing, though.
As a single, we call them the Lex Luger of the cruiserweights.
No, but the thing with those three guys, oh God! But the thing with those three guys is that they keep beating them though. It's like who's going to take seriously guys that lose in the opening match?
You can't keep losing it. People don't get that.
You can lose, but you can't. You know what? You can lose. I think you can lose all the time if you're competitive, or if you're given if you're a Ric Flair or someone with you who can talk.
You know what? I'll clarify it for you. Because me and Terry Taylor used to go round and around. He would always call me in, and he called me in to negotiate the finish, right? And that's what that was his term. He goes, let's negotiate a finish. And and his big selling point was when trying to get everybody to do jobs was he goes, Arn Anderson did jobs every night and never lost his heat, which is true. But my response was, well, he was a 4-horseman. He got promo time every single week.
He always had a belt.
His heat back. He
always
had a damn belt.
He always had a tag belt.
You can beat me every week, and I'll stay over too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think it's, you know, granted, Arn is one of the best promo in the business, you know, so not just anybody could do that, but all I'm saying is that Terry Taylor's, the logic was flawed. He should drive me nuts. He goes, Arn would get beat every night and still have his heat. I go, yeah, but he has all these other things going on. You know, if you just want to beat me for no reason, Terry, I go, I don't get it. I mean, I'll do it. I'll do anything. I mean, I've always been a team player. I go, but give me a reason. I mean, you know, like, you know, that's one thing with Paulie. Paulie knows that I will do a job for anybody, anytime, anywhere. Doesn't matter. All it's got to do is make sense. I mean, there's no reason to beat somebody though, just to beat them, unless that's their position on the card. And if you're going to make somebody into something, then obviously that's not their position on the card.
Go ahead.
So you have to find your way around it.
Black
Dave.
hole.
Yeah, I'm here.
What happened to you?
I got cut off. This is from John, who says that he checked that he listens at school because he listens when he's at college and they have fast internet connections. It's not my home, so the closest possible choice was school. I bet most people who checked it were in college. He may very well be right. This is actually for you. It's a question off the beaten path. It says, what do you think of the rock band Savatage? He used to wear their T-shirts all the time, and I was just curious about it.
I'm friends with a guy, Chris Cafferty, who plays in the band. I like him. I mean, my musical tastes tend to run towards the 70s. 70s classic rock, 70s Philly soul. I guess, you know, 'cause I'm 35, so it's what I grew up on. You know, that and I like the early 90s when music changed. And I really think that when the alternative age ushered in, I think it was like a throwback to the 70s sound in many ways. You know, much more raw and much more raw. It was much more raw and unpolished. I hate really polished sounding music.
Okay. By the way, if anyone's out there, could you email me what the WWF stock's been doing since I've been on the road for? I guess I could look up yesterday's in the newspaper. I could probably.
Yeah,
anyway,
I need to make some money off of that.
Yeah, anyone, just let us know what the stock price is. This is something that, I guess since I was so busy actually watching the match, I didn't see this bit of silliness that, happened. I guess we got actually a few comments on this. At the Flair, and during the Flair-Hogan match last night, they sent a whole bunch of ring crew guys out there, with cameras to pretend it was like international media converging on the Flair-Hogan match. And this is someone who says the Flair-Hogan match was pathetic last night. I don't know. I mean, I didn't think the match was pathetic. You know, it was a Flair-Hogan match. It's the same Flair-Hogan match. I saw the second Flair-Hogan match in history in Oakland, California. It was supposed to be the first, but they actually did it at a TV taping 3 days earlier. And this is like 91. And this was like, it was like the exact same match. It wasn't even slower. It was shorter. I mean, it was shorter and it wasn't as good, but I'm just like watching like these spots and it's just like I knew every single spot. But anyway, he goes, they had so-called photojournalists who you could tell were ring crew members who they gave cameras to. You know how they could tell they were ring crew members, Raven?
How's that?
They were wearing shirts that said ring crew on them.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were. It said WCW ring crew on the
Tremendous.
shirts. Isn't that awesome?
That's it. You know, to me, I just don't get stuff like that. That's why I think Vince is so great, because stuff like that will not happen on Vince's TV.
No, that will never happen on Vince's
You know what else?
TV.
You'll never see a cameraman on Vince's TV.
I used to see Apter and stuff on Vince's TV.
No. A cameraman, one of Vince's cameramen.
Okay. Yeah, almost never. I mean, almost never. You're right. I mean, they're so good at that. Yeah, you're right.
But that was part of the things. I mean, obviously, because I used to produce. I mean, I know the inner workings. I mean, but that was part of the thing. Vince is that professional. I mean, just down to the tiniest little detail. And to me, that's what makes the show. You know, that's what separates good from great. Is the details.
We have about 3 or 4 emails asking the same question, which is the typical question, and that is, what is your contract status with ECW, and would you consider going to WWF?
Yes, I would, but not until my contract's over, which is August 25th is my last day. And as I've stated numerous times, I love working for Paulie. You know, we can fight and whatever, but, you know, I love working for him. I think the guy's a genius. but I'm 35 years old. I gotta make some money, so for the rest of my life. And Paul Lee won't be able to pay me that kind of money. They're definitely moving up. They're no longer a Bush League outfit. I mean, they're definitely it's the big three now, not the big two. But I gotta go where the big money is, because I feel like I deserve it. I think my talent warrants it. We'll find out come August 25th. If the WWF is interested, but I'd like to think they are. And I would definitely consider it.
Before we go to the calls, I want to make also one comment about a couple of things that we've been asked a lot on email today, and that's the status of Sabu, Chris Candido, and Tammy Sitch. From what I understand, and this is as of last night, Candido and Sitch were at the show last night at the Nassau Coliseum. They were not going to be used on the show, but I believe they were going to use them tonight in Philadelphia, which is the Thunder tapings. But that is not going to happen because they're under contract to ECW, and Paulie, at least as of last night, had not sent a release for them, and he may. When it comes to Sabu, Sabu's on ice right now. WCW is not going to use him. And, well, they're not going to use anyone without a release, but WCW is not going to use him, and that's basically the status of the whole thing.
What do you make of all that?
But what, Paul's trying to get WCW to buy the contract to Sabu out. That's what I'm
what it is?
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I mean, he's already talked to different people like Mike Awesome and Crazy about sort of being in Sabu's spot and picking up the slack for Sabu not coming back. So I don't know. So I think he's just trying to get something for the contract. That's just my opinion. Let's go to Richard in Canada. What's going on?
Hi there, Raven. Nice to talk to you. I always enjoyed you, even though up here I haven't had a lot of chance to watch ECW. I try to catch it on Friday nights. Quick question. Even though you were stuck in all the chaos of WCW, do you think it would self-destruct this bad now with Canyon leaving and only being left with...
Do what?
He said, do you think that WCW would self-destruct this bad? I mean, when you left WCW, did you think it was going to self-destruct this bad?
To be honest, I kind of thought there'd be more people defecting when I defected. I wonder when people look back if I'll get any credit for the, let's face it, the Exodus. I started the Exodus. Which is recent, unfortunately I started it 6 months before everybody else started leaving. But I've always been slightly ahead of the bell curve. It really all depends. I mean, I hope they let Canyon go. I mean, I want to see Canyon's a good friend of mine, and I'd like to see him go to WWF. I know that, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of other guys on release. I really don't know. And frankly, if they start, from what I hear also, Vince has a limited roster space. So WCW may let a lot of guys may say, hey, you know what, we want to go. But Vince may say, hey, I ain't got room for you. Because Vince has got to make sure that he keeps on the roster the loyalists, the guys that have been there for a long time that have stayed by him, and, but he also needs to add guys that are going to, up the ante with like Chris and Eddie and Barry. But, from what I understand, there's only so much roster space to use. It's available.
Yeah, no, it's just, even when you left, I figured they could still pull it out, but,
well, it's not like they were using any of us.
That's the point,
So I don't think it makes a damn bit of difference. I mean, they weren't using us, they weren't gonna, so basically, to them, it's not like they're losing anybody, in their minds.
But that's where they made a big mistake. I think
because they lost all the guys that gave quality matches. But in their minds, these guys didn't draw. But they forget how valuable the dressing they were.
Yeah, but then the other part of it is like, okay, we all know that what needs to be done is to get certain people off of the top of the card, and the problem is that now there's more of a justification to keep them there because it's like there's no one. It's like you go in there and you go like, okay, who's going to be on top? I mean, you can't say, well, you can always elevate Chris Benoit or Eddie Guerrero or Raven or something.
Or Jericho, we're all gone.
Or Jericho, right? And those are the guys who could have done it. I mean, now the level of those guys. I mean, it's like, okay, we've got a chance to elevate. I mean, you got Vito and Johnny into the main events instead of Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. It's a bigger jump. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
a lot bigger.
You had four guys. You had three guys and me, Chris and Chris, that were ready to step up to the plate. It should have, and they said no. you know, and then the next level is a big drop-off, you know, because, you know, I've been doing this 12 years. Benoit's been doing it for, I don't know, probably 8. Jericho probably the same. You know, the rest of the guys, what you got left is guys that either have had their run and they're past their prime. You got guys that aren't ready for their run, or you got guys that are never going to be that level. You know, I mean, there's only so many guys that have what it takes to be that level. You know, and they lost a bunch of them.
And they're killing Booker T now, so, you know, the one guy I think they could actually, you know, go with a bit as a young guy until they build up those guys. They're killing them by having him feud with Ahmed freaking Johnson.
But I'll tell you what, you know what? Booker T, there's a guy they could build around. Booker T is a stud, you know? I think Booker T's hell of a talent. I still think Page got a good couple years left in him. Old bastard. You know?
He's putting over young people. Nobody else in that company is.
You know, it's not. See, I don't think it should be chronological age. You know, I think it's how it's perceived. I mean, Page is chronologically the same age as these guys, but he doesn't move like him. He moves like a much younger man. His stuff, you know, he works much harder, snugger, and more rugged. So, and he looks. I mean, he's a well-built guy. You know, whereas like Flair looks to be getting up near his 50s. He looks to be flabby, you know. He looks soft, and it's a cosmetic business, you know. So I don't think it's chronological age, you know. Look at Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes is 40, you know. And he walks away from the business, what, like 36, 37? Which now, people are just, you know, getting their breaks then. But hell, he already had 20 years on top, you know. I mean, so I don't think... Yeah, to reiterate, I don't think it has anything to do with chronological age. I think it's, you know, how you look and how you move.
Well, with Page, too, his TV time on top has been, what, 3 or 4 years. Flair has been, like, on TV for 20 years, so you can see the age more.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people think of him an older guy, but at the same time with Flair, Flair still has that aura. I mean, I saw it last night.
Status.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I would never be in favor of getting rid of him, even though they need to lessen the old face of the company. But at the same time, the idea that they can go in there and build around Hogan and Flair for another run, that's terribly counterproductive. Even if they can go out there and pop a match and get a big pop, it's just counterproductive. It's like you got to rebuild at some point, and this has got to be the time to do it.
You know what? My favorite Flair angle in the last 3-4 years was him in X-Pac 6. You know, and Flair was out there, and he goes, okay, basically, he goes, I'm old. He goes, I may not be able to beat Hall and Nash, but I know I can kick your fucking ass.
Yeah.
And that was a hot fucking angle, because 6 brought it out of him, you know what I mean? And the people go, and that's something where people were elevated 6, you know, and Sean's a great kid, elevated Sean, and also was believable, wasn't like, come on, you know, it's like, come on, there's no way people think Flair can beat Goldberg. You know what I mean? It just... People aren't going to think it's Flair, you know. 10 years ago, sure, but not anymore, you know. But where against X-Pac or 6, they go, this is a pretty fair fight. You know, the legend versus up-and-coming snot-nosed punk, you know, how his character was portrayed. You know, and that's the way they need to use these guys, you know, as stepping stones. And not necessarily as stepping stones, but, you know, I mean, it's not like, you know, people don't understand, though. You know, you can do an angle. Both guys can come out, you know, looking good at the end of it. You know, just because one guy does the final job doesn't mean both guys can't come out looking good. So it's not like you're stepping all over the guy to get there, you know. But one of the things that always pissed me off is like Sting. You know, he like what was he, like a mid-card? You know, he was a mid-card guy when he came over. Flair went a 45-minute Broadway, took the guy 45 minutes Broadway, made him a star, at least gave him a chance to become a star. But has Sting done the favor for anybody else since? Has Sting ever returned that favor?
Oh.
I brought that up to Eric one night. Actually, the night I quit. I go, why don't you have Sting let me, you know, make me a star? Let me step up to the plate. You know, I go, what's Sting going to do what Flair did for him? He goes, he just let Sid beat him last week. I go, Sid's a fucking star. I go, Sid's been a fucking star for fucking 10 years now. It's nothing, you know. I mean, Sting was was a mid-card jabroni, you know? Yeah, he was on UWF TV, he was a tag team champions, but still wasn't a star, and he wasn't nothing really on the TBS network. And Flair, you know, gave him the opportunity.
Flair made him, but the thing is that everyone didn't know that Sting was going to be a top guy. You know, beforehand, that's why they let him go 45 minutes, and Flair made him. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, he was a guy ready to be made, kind of like probably
so
like...
So was I, and so was Benoit. You know,
absolutely.
Was Sting doing that for us? No.
You're right. You're right.
None of these guys are.
Yeah.
And that's my big problem.
And look at the WWF.
Was anybody going to do it for Austin? No. I mean, they did in New York, but I mean, was he going to do it in WCW? No.
And they did in the WWF last night. I mean, The Rock, who hasn't been on top for how long, he goes and puts over Benoit. Not clean, but, you know.
That's why Vince is a genius. I mean, look at Rikishi. He's been around for 20 years, but they've all of a sudden, they found the right mix. You know what I mean?
Look
the guy's always been a hell of a talent, you know, and a great guy. But they finally found the right gimmick, and boom, now all of a sudden, you know, he's, you know, the son of a bitch is over like a son of a bitch. Whereas in WCW, if they saw that, they'd immediately have him beat off, you know?
The same with Too Cool. They were like, you know...
Scotty 2 Hotty, the guy always considered... Now, there was a guy who I never... I'll give it... I always liked Scott, and I always thought he was a good hand. But I never thought he'd be more than a good hand. And Brian Christopher, me and Brian go back a long ways. We used to always ride together in Memphis. And I always thought Brian had talent, and it was underused. And so... But Scott Taylor, I just couldn't even see it. And when they came out, and he came up with the worm, and when he does the worm, and then he goes, whoosh, whoosh, and 15,000 people are going whoosh, whoosh with him, you're going, motherfucker's over.
Oh,
you know,
that pop when he beat Billy Gunn last night? That was
absolutely. I mean, I knew he would. I knew one of the two of them were getting the win. You know, but the thing is, and what was good about it was that he had to have help to get the win. Because, let's face it, the other guys are the established top guys. These guys are up-and-comers. They were jobbers for a long time. You can't just, you know, to just give them the clean win, people might not have reacted as well. It was better to make it like that because it makes it like more of an uphill climb for them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But, it's also tag team, so it builds a feud later down the road, too.
Absolutely.
You know, the other thing that people forget, too, though, is that it wasn't that many years ago. I mean, I remember, because I remember... God, I think it was just a few years ago. I remember going to the San Jose Arena and watching Billy Gunn against Jesse James in the opening match, and they were the two jobbers of the company. And I mean, you know, and now, you know, I mean, it's like, and then 3 years ago, you know, when all those same guys in WCW were in the same place at that time as they were 3 years later, and they were, you know, they had the same talent. In fact, they were all more talented than Billy Gunn, realistically.
Yeah, one good push with Cactus Jacket that year. Billy got to WrestleMania, and they turned from, you know, rockabilly into, you know, and the country.
Yeah, rockabilly. Yeah, I know they gave him a bad gimmick even, and he, you know, they canceled it and they brought him back and they brought him in.
I think that was the greatest thing Vince ever did was when at some point he decided that you can't just give out gimmicks anymore. You got to let people be who they are, which takes a lot of balls to say. To relinquish that kind of control to go, all right, I mean, you know, all right, you guys got to find out who you are and let these people be who they are. You know what I mean? Because that's the more wrestling is built on personalities. You know, there was about 10 years in the middle, you know, in the first set of Vince glory years where it was gimmicks. You know, you're a dentist, you're an undertaker, you're this, you're that, and you know, Big Boss Man, he was a cop. You know, it got over just strictly being a gimmick. Undertaker strictly being a gimmick, although Mark was smart enough that when the times changed, he became a personality instead of staying just a gimmick. But if you go back in the years, Dusty Rhodes wasn't a gimmick, he was a personality. Terry Funk, a personality. Ric Flair, personality. You know, it's not just, hey, you know, like, when people come to me and they go, hey, I got this great gimmick, I'm like, right away I'm already thinking, well, you really don't get it. It's not a gimmick anymore. You know, you need to find an extension of your personality that you can propagate, and you can, you know, because that's what people want to get behind. The more three-dimensional your character is, more they're going to get behind you.
Mm-hmm. That's why you don't see much changes when a person turns these days, because...
That's why you have to speak up.
That's why you don't see many changes when a person turns these days. I mean, Jericho heel, Jericho face, there's no difference. It's just, you know, people like Jericho.
Right.
Instead of, you know, hating him. he's still the same Jericho, still cutting the same promos, yet he's getting the cheers now.
And I got a couple of emails here. This is, Chris Benoit will not be on the SmackDown show tonight. His wife is in labor today, so he went back it says he went back to Canada to be with her. Doesn't he live in Atlanta?
I do not know.
He lives in Atlanta, so I'm sure that's where he went. And it says Rock will be hosting Saturday Night Live on March the 18th.
Really?
Yeah, that's the first time a wrestler's hosted Saturday Night Live in...
I have to write down on my calendar. That should be interesting.
In 15 years was the last time that happened. 1985, Mr. T and Hulk Hogan, right before WrestleMania.
They did?
Yeah, right. The weekend of the very first WrestleMania, Mr. T and Hulk Hogan, the night before it, they hosted Saturday Night Live. I remember that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. And Roddy Piper was on it. Roddy Piper did a big promo on Mr. T. It was actually the best thing on that show. It's one of the things that got the show over. This is some more people who are listening at school. He goes, I used to listen at school in the computer lab. A bunch of guys at school also listened. Cool, that's great. Let's see.
What kind of listenership do you get?
I don't know.
Like how many people?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just know that 20%. A lot of people listen on archives. I've heard that.
On what?
On our, it's like they're not listening live, but they'll listen like at their own convenience later in the day. A lot of people will listen to tapes on the weekend. A lot more than like you would expect, I guess, is what I'm told. Let's see, why are there more missed spots or screw-ups on WCW than WWF? Or maybe is it just more noticeable on WCW? They're just because they're greener guys. I think that's, in the matches that you're talking about, like with Shane Helms, Shannon Moore, those guys. They're guys trying to do, they're guys that are only 2 years in the business that are trying to do a lot of stuff, and acrobatic stuff. So there's going to be more missed spots, than, guys that have been in 6, 7, 8 years and are not trying to like get over for the first time and make people notice them, but are already kind of over. You don't have to do as much acrobatics when you're already over than to get people to notice you, especially when you're small guys and you're not getting a push. You kind of have to.
How many people read your newsletter?
Let's see. The paid circulation is about 7,500.
7,500?
Yes.
All right. I was just curious.
Yep. That number I know. Let's see. It says, wondering, what do you think about bringing Brian Clark into ECW?
Me or you?
You. It says, what does Raven think about if Wrath would be a good fit in ECW, or if Paulie has any thoughts of bringing him in?
I have no idea. I really have no idea if Paulie's interested or not. Frankly, I think anybody with talent, anybody with any kind of name value or any kind of talent, is always beneficial. You always want to have new faces, fresh faces, fresh talent, because it stirs up the mix. The problem with a lot of people in this business is they get something that works, and that's it. And it's all they do. And they don't advance, they don't develop, their characters don't grow, and they become stagnant. And I think that's, they just rest on their laurels, which I think is really shitty. I think it just hurts the product all the way around.
This is one that you've probably been asked a lot, but we'll give you a chance to talk about this one. Your angle with Roddy Piper.
Well, the angle that never happened?
The angle that never happened. They did about 2-3 weeks of teases on TV. In those vignettes, I was waiting for the big angle with Roddy Piper,
it was going to be good. Me and Roddy talked on the phone about 4 or 5 times a week for about a month. We came up with this brilliant thing. This is a hell of an angle. It would have elevated me into the Big Ten. The quotation mark Big Ten of WCW. And so I got kiboshed. But, and the funny thing was, Bischoff, was telling me, he goes, man, we've been trying to find something for Roddy to do for 6 months. And so me and Roddy laid out this whole hot angle, and they just wouldn't do it.
What's the weirdest thing to me as a fan is that they actually start angles, and then they decide they don't want to do it.
I threw that in myself.
Oh, okay. But I had heard, for a couple weeks, and it wasn't from you or anything, that, they were going to start doing, remember, because Roddy wasn't around at the time, they were going to do something with Roddy Piper and you. I had heard that, and then there's a few little things on TV, and then all of a sudden, dead. Nothing ever mentioned again.
Big. Man, I got the notes somewhere in that angle. I mean, we had like a 3-4 month program lined up, which was some phenomenal stuff. I mean, part of it was me. Some of the best stuff was going to be me doing the old Piper Pit segments where we were going to make fun of them, and probably someone will eventually steal this idea, but and so I was going to Canyon was going to dress up like Snuka, and I was going to hit him with a fake coconut with like a love tap, and he was going to go ballistic and jump through a backdrop and knock the whole set over. I mean, we were going to just make a mockery, of Piper's career,
That's actually pretty clever.
It was a loving homage, yet a mockery at the same time.
Yeah.
And there was so much more to it that frankly, I could probably find a note somewhere. Next time I'm on the show, I'll try and find the notes to that. It's a really good angle, though.
Okay, let's go to the phones. We've got Mr. T in Connecticut. Is that your name?
Yeah, hi. How you guys doing tonight?
Mr. T, your voice isn't quite as deep as it used to be.
Actually, listen, I'm heading to Living Dangerously in Danbury, and I was wondering if I had some questions.
You're already on the road. You're already on the road. You're already heading to it already.
Huh?
I know his name's T-Bone. No, I was just go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just saying.
Okay.
Are you already on the road heading to it? You're going to get there really early.
Yeah, I'm going to that. I was in the last Danbury show you guys did.
That was you.
Huh?
Nothing.
Sorry. Number one, is Mike Awesome scheduled to be on the card for a match?
Absolutely. He better be.
You know who he's fighting? Who will be defending against?
I really don't know.
I've heard two.
I heard play Karnak though.
I've
heard the magician.
Yeah, cool.
That's my Bobby Heenan reference for today.
Yeah. Okay. Secondly,
I've heard two suggestions. One is a single match with Tanaka, and the other is a three-way with Tanaka and Spike Dudley.
Okay. Thank you. Number two, is there any truth to the rumor I've been hearing about a TV title tournament at the pay-per-view?
No idea. Has not alerted me to anything.
Dave, do you know?
There's truth that there's a rumor. It's not been. I mean, it's not like it's 100%, but it's certainly been discussed.
There's definitely a rumor, but there may not be any facts behind the rumor.
Oh, okay.
No, there's facts behind that. There's discussion of it, but that may not be what ends up happening. But it's been discussed.
Okay. Oh, and also, just one more thing I wanted to add. Raven, you were talking about the crowd participation in the shows earlier in the show, and I was at the last Danbury show you guys did, and the main event you and Tommy went against ChynaNo in victory. It was like a human pinball match. I mean, I went out from my cheap seat. You guys went into the bathroom. You guys came out of the bathroom.
Oh, yeah,
I tried to get in between you guys, but the guards shoved me back. Shoved me back so hard I fell into my friend. And as we were walking back to our seats after the match ended, we bumped into this other kid who was in the bathroom when you guys were in the bathroom. And he's like, "Oh, my God, I was taking a piss, and all of a sudden Raven was right behind me." So, I mean, that was crazy.
I don't recall anybody being in the bathroom. The kid could have been lying to you, but maybe he was there. Atlas Security does a good job, but I love doing stuff like that. Like me and Carino just go running around and just bounce off the walls. And the only problem is the fans start smacking you in the back, and it hurts after a while. Like they're like, and then Carino, he's a heel, so they're really whacking him. So I got to protect him. So I'm getting the brunt of all the whacks. But no, it's fun. I mean, by building like if you can find props out in the crowd, like bleachers to roll down, or different stuff like that, or stuff to use, and it's fun. But to me, going out in the crowd is no fun. Oh yeah, that's right. We went to the gimmick table. I think this was the show. We went to the gimmick table, and I put a psychosis mask on his head, but his head was too big, so I could only get it like on his forehead. It looked like he was wearing a psychosis crown, right?
Yeah.
He's helping me trying to get it on his head, and then just goofy stuff like that, And then I made him wear. I think I put a Raven T-shirt on him, It's fun. Carino's a blast to work with.
Well, if you can find me in the crowd, I'll be on the floor with a Flock World Order sign.
Cool.
Flock World Order. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Travis in Tennessee. Travis, what's going on?
Yeah, Raven. I know there's a lot of reasons that you got.
You got to speak up.
I'm sorry. you was talking about WCW, the people like Sting and Flair and stuff not giving you chances, not giving chances. Like, I don't know, you might get in a little trouble over this, but who just really ticks you off the worst in WCW?
Hogan's a piece of shit. He's a fucking asshole. That motherfucker sabotaged my career so fucking bad. I mean, every meeting he would go in there, and I got a bunch of witnesses. You know, the fucker would go in there and go, this kid can't draw money, this kid can't do that. He's a fucking asshole.
Well, there's your answer.
I got another question about ECW. I've not seen an ECW barbed wire match in a long time. I mean, has ECW, they kind of, you know, brought the barbed wire, I mean, like, they
it takes a long time to set them up, you know, to tear the ring ropes down and put the barbed wire up. You know, I mean, I don't think we ever really had a lot of them, you know. I'm sure they'll do them again. I think it's just, you know, it just hasn't come up.
What are some of the other reasons you left WCW? I mean, like
the reason I left was because I had no upward mobility. I hit the glass ceiling.
I've heard stuff all the time about WCW. They don't, you know, they're like it's totally unorganized backstage. Could you like tell us some stuff about?
Yeah, they're a complete mess. But all that aside, I can deal with all that. You know, it's the fact that they would not let me reach my potential, and I refuse. You know, I've busted my ass for 12 damn years at this, you know, and you're going to get guys that say I'm lazy. You're going to get guys that say I don't work that hard. But you know what my response to that is that if they did as much work away from the ring as I did, like, you know what I mean? I may not do all the acrobatics because I can't, you know, and I may go out there and have and do 5 times less than the other people, but as long as I'm getting as much or more crowd reaction, then I'm doing my job, because my job is to entertain the people. It's not to do a bunch of bumps to entertain the boys. And the amount of work I put in to make this character believable, to come up with the promos I do, you know, and I will give Paulie credit. Paulie also has a ton of input into him, frankly, because he knows where I'm going and I don't. But whenever I do, I you know, when I was in WCW, they were 100% mine. But with me and Paulie, it's a collaboration. Which is also kind of fun, actually. It's fun to collaborate. But, you know, the amount of wrestling I watch at home, the amount of thought I go into, you know, into doing this is, you know, that's what's so irritating about not being allowed to reach your potential. You know, if I didn't work at it, if I didn't work as hard as I did, then I'd be like, you know, whatever, I don't deserve it. But I mean, I busted my ass. I deserved more money. I deserved a better spot. I deserved, I deserved all the fame and fortune and glory and everything that goes part and parcel with being a major star. You know, and being that I am as insecure as I am, these things are very important to me. So there. Next.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay, let's go to Dave in New York. Dave, how are you doing today?
Okay, I'm doing okay. Here you go.
That's it? Just okay?
Hey, did you watch the show last night? Did you watch Nitro last night?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering.
That solves that question. You were the one.
Well, I wasn't there. I didn't go. I just didn't.
You know what? Actually, I got to bring up. Somebody brought this up the other day. One of my buddies, and do you remember when Vince let me have the WWF radio show?
The WWF radio show.
Vince had me commentating on Superstars when Lawler was off, and I had the voice machine, like the sound effects machine.
Yes, I remember that.
What did you think of that?
A little ahead of its time. It was way ahead of its time, because I remember I was like,
the boys over that. But somebody brought it up the other day, and I was thinking, you could do it now, because now, you know, I've always said it's showbiz, you know what I mean? But I don't know what made me think of that.
The two things that stick out for me from when you were in WWF were when you first started managing the Quebecers and you came out in that hockey jersey that said on the back, "We are the Quebecers, Jacques and Pierre, and I am Johnny."
Yeah, but that is Disco's favorite thing in the world, is because they're foreigners, you know, instead of saying "I am Johnny," like a contraction, and you know how people speak in English,
yeah,
it said "and I am Johnny." Like, he just thinks that's the most ridiculous thing. And instead of saying, I'm Johnny, and I am Johnny. Like, it's so formal.
The other thing that sticks out...
And let me say that the night I walked out, I realized I had true heat. Because this was back before fans really cussed and stuff and whatever. And I walked out, and it was the Manhattan Center, and some fan goes, fuck you, Johnny Polo. And to elicit such venomous response, I was going, hey, I'm getting over it.
The other thing that sticks out is when you were playing basketball with Gorilla Monsoon.
I remember the bowling more myself. When I slid down where I did the gimmick where I had my fingers stuck in the ball, and I slid all the way down into the pins.
Oh, no, really? Oh, my God. I missed that one.
Oh, it was ridiculous. We did, then of course Gorilla hands me the ball, I drop it on my toe. You know, I mean, all kinds of goofy stuff. I loved working with him, bless his heart.
Dave, what did you think of the Jim Duggan press release that I sent you?
Oh my, Raven, you haven't heard about this. There's a TV show that they were selling at the NATPE convention called Biker's Court, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Biker's Court, and it's a jury of it's basically trying to capitalize on 3 shows. One's pro wrestling, obviously. One's Jerry Springer, and the other is Judge Judy. And it's bikers, like these 12 bikers as jury, and then like Jim Duggan is a judge with a 2x4, and they have these like absolutely ridiculous cases, like I guess in the pilot.
I love it already. I swear to you, I love the idea already.
I have the press release in front of me. I'll read the description for the pilot, okay?
Okay, you read it. It's actually brilliantly ridiculous. Go ahead. The
first episode features a group of plaintiffs suing Big Tobacco. One of the plaintiffs is a midget who claims that smoking is to blame for his stunted growth. He is asking for compensation for what could have been a lucrative NBA career. The slogan for the program is, when court gets rough, Axel gets tough. Victims find justice and criminals pay, and if necessary, they receive a 2x4 upside the head.
I love it.
I thought it was fun.
I think it's right in the it's perfect for Comedy Central. I think it's one of those shows that would get a cold audience and would I love it. I wouldn't mind being the judge.
I just hope it doesn't take itself too seriously.
I wouldn't mind being a guest judge.
How could a show with Duggan take itself too seriously though?
Jim's a really good guy.
Got a question for Raven. Do you think that your strength is as...
Oh, by the way, I got to put over James Vandenberg. He said to me during the break, he called me and said, plug him. So there's no reason to plug him. So shamelessly, I'm plugging him now. James Vandenberg. There, Vandy, leave me alone. Also, I wonder, Supernova, you know Nova on our show? His brother Donnie B's a manager and a master ribber. And so he was going to call in and harass me with goofy questions today. He did last time. I forget which caller he was. And now I'm trying to decide if he actually got through, and if anybody's asked me any goofy questions, it might have been him. I don't really recall any.
I just wanted to ask you before I got to my question for Raven, what did you think of that other thing in the email I sent you about the poll results from WWOR?
What?
Oh! They had WWO. No, what was that? Was that like the greatest wrestler of all time, or just the greatest wrestler right now?
It was the greatest wrestler of all time.
The greatest wrestler of all time. You know who won the greatest wrestler of all time?
Who's that?
The Rock. Who else?
Really?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan was second.
And Austin was third.
And and then the greatest heel. What was the greatest heel of all time was who was
Triple
that?
H.
Triple H was the greatest heel of all time. The greatest tag team of all time were the Outlaws, right?
Followed by the Hardys, and then the Rock and Sock Connection.
Wow.
It's like how on MTV they had a vote for the greatest album of all time, and the number one choice was
Christina Aguilera.
It was Backstreet Boys.
Oh God! Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. That's really sad. That's just our polls come out better than that. Although, when we had like the greatest wrestler of all time, Hogan got what was it like 60-70% of the vote, wasn't it something like that?
Well, greatest or most influential?
Actually, I think it was most. I think it was most influential this century because if we did greatest of all time, I'm sure that Flair would win. I'm relatively sure of that one. So.
It was funny that there was a poll on a website that I saw. It was who will benefit most from Candido and Fitch signing with WCW, and the one that got the most votes was Bret Hart.
What? Oh God! All right.
Okay, so anyway, my question for Raven is.
I was just saying, You said Bruce Hart's going to be on what day? Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday.
That's going to be interesting.
Oh, Bruce Hart's going to be real interesting.
Yeah, I need to get a copy of that. How do I get a copy of that? I have no idea how to work my computer.
Well, find someone who does, and just Thursday night.
Can I get it emailed to me or something? Like a transcript, or how's it work?
No, you just go through the thing, and then you click through whatever you have to click through to get on, and just you can do it. You can listen to it live, or you can listen to it on archives. Like for the next 24 hours.
All right, I'll have my roommate figure it out.
So.
All right, what's your question?
My question is, do you think that your strengths are more as a brawler or working straight matches? Because I thought some of the better matches you had were like your match against Jericho at Halloween Havoc a couple years ago and your match at Spring Stampede last year, which were more straight wrestling matches.
I think my strength lies in my ability to play to my opponent's strengths, A. So, like with Flair, no matter who he wrestles, he has the same match. Whoever I wrestle, so if he wrestles me, I'm wrestling Flair's match. Everybody's wrestling Flair's match. Whereas me, I wrestle my opponent's match. So if I wrestle Jericho, I wrestle at his style. If I wrestle The Rock, I'd wrestle his style. If I wrestle Austin, I'd wrestle his style. If I wrestle Pillman, I wrestle Bryan's style. Which makes it that I have a different match with everybody, which makes it much more interesting to me, and I think for the fans. What my other strength is my ability to come up with complicated, I can never pronounce that word, labyrinthine, finishes that lead you one way, swerve you the next, and keep coming and coming and coming, and just when you think it's over, it leads to a whole new set of circumstances when you're convinced that it's over, and then we go into something else. And
like with the match that you did in ECW where the Pitbulls won the tag titles?
Yeah, the double dog collar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which I think was one of the best matches I've ever been in. Considering it was, with the Pitbulls, I'd say that's quite
What's the deal?
Work it out for us.
What's the deal with Gary Wolfback? I just noticed that this weekend.
Gary's a good friend of the Sandman's, and he's a really good kid. You know what I mean? He's not a bad worker. I think he just, I don't know. He fell off the radar somehow. You know how this business is.
Just talking about that double dog collar match, I realized that I wanted to ask you. What happened with that bump where you kind of almost got decapitated on the table in that match?
Yeah, well, this is what happened. Okay, Anthony the Pitbull, they were going to super bomb me through a table. And I told Anthony, I said, super bomb me through it. I said, I'm going to kick out, because I was going to let them kick out of my finish. So I figured, if I'm prostituting my finish, you prostitute yours. He decided that it was a really dick move. He decided that he didn't want me kicking out of it. So he was going to fucking bounce me off the thing, so I don't go through it. Being the dumb shit that he is, that just, A, he could have killed me, which is a fucking bullshit thing. B, it just made me look even more superhuman because it looked twice as devastating fucking bouncing off that damn thing than it did going through it. So, it was an asshole play no matter how you look at it.
That was pretty, You know how there are just some things in wrestling that make you cringe like that?
Oh, yeah.
And when
the one thing that does it for me is when Benoit throws Sabu in the air.
And the clip they showed over and over.
I forget, Sabu told me, I forget what they're supposed to turn or he wasn't, or whatever. I mean, it wasn't, I think it was just one of those fluke accidents, and he landed right on his head. Oh my God, I can't even watch that footage.
The ones that really make me cringe, other ones are when Lawler hit Dreamer in the crotch with the cane, and when he got crotched on the post by Idol and Rich.
Right.
Oh, that's because Lawler sold it so darn well.
I heard that he actually got a ruptured testicle from that.
No. He sure did not. He was going in for a surgery to get a vasectomy reversed that next, 3 days after that, and that's why they did that angle.
I'll tell you, that led up to one of my favorite angles of all time,
the hair thing?
When Tommy Rich came out from under the cage.
The hair thing in the cage was...
that angle, Austin Idol put up all the money. And we covered this last week, didn't we?
We covered last time you run? Yeah. The whole build-up, the Austin Idol interview.
Never mind it. I got so many stories, and I never remember which ones I tell on which shows and which things. I hate to repeat myself because I got so many.
Okay. We've got to run through the calls because we're running low on time.
Okay, I just want to say that one of Raven's best ideas was to have that Matt Classic segment on All American Wrestling.
Was what?
Have the Matt Classic segment on All American.
That was just so I could watch the old matches in the studio because I used to edit it. So I thought thought it'd be good for TV. I thought it'd be good for ratings. And also that way I get to watch all the old matches. And they had this classic 76 match between Dusty and Superstar Billy Graham when they both had the robes. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, you told us this story. You told us this story, too, where they were so over and the match was really...
Okay. I remember that now. I got to stop coming on your show.
That reminds me, I swear, I think the WCW Saturday Night should consist of half new guys, you know, and then, actually, I don't even think they should have the new guys because the new guys aren't, I don't think the new guys should be exposed on national TV until they're a little more ready, but if they're going to do it, they should have half of it like stuff from the 80s that's like really, really good. I think the ratings would go way up with those old clips than it is right now.
You could have a whole highlight show.
Yeah. We got...
Like remember that Sunday says the Sunday show could just be highlights.
Right, yeah, for years and years. Okay, let's go to Mike in New York.
Yeah, Dave, what's up? Listen, you guys are talking about all the guys in WWF getting over and stuff, like Road Dogg. Road Dogg only got over when he started stealing his whole act from Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style album, you know? I mean, WWF should be paying royalties to Snoop Dogg because his whole entire act is stolen off of Snoop Dogg's album.
Everyone steals stuff. I mean, that's how we learn.
Get Snoop Doggy Dogg's, I think it's 93 Doggy Style. Get that album. He stole everything. Everything he says on the mic, he stole from that album. You know? And another thing is, I want to say, you guys are talking about everybody who's not getting over it because they're being held back, this and that. You know, you got Raven there. You know, Corey Feldman only has a certain shelf life, Raven. You know what I mean?
What's up, Nova?
After a while, you start getting played out, you know?
Like Corey Feldman and
Corey Feldman, man. Your act is like a Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman gets annoying after a little while.
Is this Nova or Donnie B?
I can't even hear
you. It took you long enough to get on the show, you damn jabroni.
Yeah, listen, Billy Kidman and all those guys are not. When Sid has a 5-minute match, and you write in the newsletter, Dave, Sid's not over. But when Kidman gets a 5-minute match, it's he's told to go home early, this and that. I mean, these guys are boring. Billy Kidman's boring. I mean, how can you dress this guy up? I mean, Hogan got the biggest pop at the Nassau Coliseum. Everybody's making excuses. You know?
I didn't make excuses. I just said that it's not the thing to be doing because they got to be rebuilding, and whether there's. You know, you can't rebuild around 40-year-old guys and turn a company around. And that's,
you got Raven back there saying, it's Nassau Coliseum. I would have thought Hogan would have got booed at the Nassau Coliseum because the new Long Island crowd is brutal. You know, I thought they were going to boo him.
Well, they did every time until he came out. Every time it was on the video stream, they were booing him.
All these guys who can't get over it. You know, I'll pay $5 to $10 extra a ticket to keep the luchadors and the Japanese off the card. And I'm a fan. I'm a hardcore fan. I subscribe to your newsletter, and I don't like those guys. You know what I mean? And you got all these guys in ECW getting over. They're only getting big pops for their music. I mean, a few years ago, what'd you have? The Bad Crew coming down with March of the SOD. That song is getting a pop, not those clowns. You know, you got Raven coming out to Offspring. Everybody's popping for the Offspring, not Raven.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? All these promos. Raven, you were ripping off Black Sabbath 5 or 6 years ago in ECW, you know? Critically acclaimed, promos by Raven. I mean,
no, I was ripping off Black Sabbath back in ECW, not WCW.
That's what I'm saying, back in ECW, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got all these great promos.
Fucking rocks.
You know, and Billy Kidman, he didn't fit into a group like with the Filthy Animals. When I think of Filthy Animals, I think of Filthy Animal Taylor from Motorhead. You know, you think of Lemmy from Motorhead.
We should have brought Lemmy out.
What was that?
We should have brought Lemmy Kilmister out and put him in the gig.
If I would have put a Filthy Animals together, you would have had a better look for the Filthy Animals than Kidman. I would have put you in there. I would have got Brian Lee, maybe put him in there. Some scruffy guy.
The Bulldozer?
What was that?
The Bulldozer, Brian Lee?
Yeah, where was he?
Where's Brian Lee?
8-Ball, whatever his name was. I would have put him in that group. Not Billy Kidman's going, we're just a couple of filthy animals, Gene Oakland. What the heck is that about?
Hey, Dave, where is Brian Lee at?
I don't know. That's a good question.
He's fallen off the radar.
Yeah, he's another one.
VH1, where are they now?
You know? They got to get Raven. They got to get you and Corey Feldman together, man.
We got to get a new caller.
Because it's uncanny, man. You know what I mean?
Hello.
Thanks, caller.
Okay, Mike in New Jersey, you're home. You're there.
Yeah, what's up, Dave? Listen, Raven, I just wanted to ask you one thing. I heard this thing about how you're thinking of something like bringing the flock back with you or something. I was just wondering if any of that is true at all and like who you had planning on bringing in with you.
What flock and where?
I have no idea. I heard that, like, if you went to WWF, you were going to try to maybe bring the flock with you. I was just wondering, like, if any of it's true and if you had, like, plans for who to bring in with you.
Frankly, I haven't even talked to the WWF.
Really?
I'm going to worry about that when the time comes.
Yeah.
All I know is that the Raven character's me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Raven character. character.
That's cool.
As far as whether there's a flock or there isn't, or how they want to use me, or if they even want to use me, they may not even be interested, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that vain as to think that everybody wants me. I am pretty vain, but I'm not that vain.
Yeah.
So I really have no idea. As far as now, you know, I'm currently a babyface, so I really wouldn't have a flock, I don't think.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you never know.
Yeah.
You know, flocks are, you know, whether it's Raven's Nest or Raven's Flock, it's always good. What I like about having excessive people is that you can come up with much more creative finishes.
Yeah.
You know, every time you add a person into the mix, you add one more definite false finish because, okay, let's say, just for wrestling 101 psychology, let's say I got 3 guys. So let's say schmuck number 1 comes down. Let's say the guy's about to put it on me. The guy hits me with his finish. Schmuck number 1 comes down. The guy goes 1-2. The guy gets up. Blast schmuck number 1. I schoolboy him from behind. Everybody thinks that's it. 1-2. He kicks out. I go to take a wild swing, and I'm making this up as we go. The guy knocks me in my ass. Schmuck number 1's out because he hit the railing. Schmuck number 2 pops up. Right now, I'm like, because the guy hit me, I'm trying to get to my feet, but I'm hanging on to the referee so he can't see. Schmuck number 2 slides in, hits the guy with his finish. I crawl on top, the referee makes the count. 1-2, the guy kicks out. Oh my God, the place is shitting themselves, right? I go to shoot the guy off, the guy ducks behind me, ducks underneath, hits me with his finish, but schmuck number 2 has the referee. The guy's covering me. Schmuck number 3 slides in, hits him with his finish. I roll on top, 1, 2, 3. Now you've got like false finishes that really mean something, as opposed to just, you know, a guy covering a guy and saying, hey, it's a false finish. It's not a false finish. What a false finish is when the people are convinced it's a finish, and it's done in such a manner that the people are convinced that it is a finish. But it really isn't. That's why it's false.
Yeah,
sort of like a false pregnancy.
Yeah.
But that's why I like having, you know, a group of individuals, you know, whether it's Meanie and Nova, and which Nova was your last caller, Dave, by the way? Either Nova or his brother was your last caller.
I think it was it was Nova. It was
one of the two because otherwise you wouldn't have a Corey Feldman or the 2 Corys reference. Anyway, whether it's a Meanie and Stevie and it's a comedy act, whether it's Kidman and Scott Vick and those guys, you know, and what was great about those guys was these guys like the reason they got over was I made sure that they didn't just run in and kick and do the Rockettes act.
Yeah, they
I made them come in and do, you know, like I go, all right, what do you want to do? How do you want to do, you know, Billy, what do you want to do today? He'd go, I want to just fly off the top. All right, you fly off the top, messing with that. Let a Page diamond cut you. How can we lead in the 6 diamond cutters? Scott Vick, what do you want to do? Stop Page, miss that. But all these guys could work, so, you know, it wasn't just, hey, let's all do the Rockettes and make the guy fight out of it. It was like high spots. So it was much more intriguing than just a bunch of guys, you know, kicking and stomping, which I think is dumb. And which I think, you know what else I think is equally dumb? Is when a guy, after, you know, when they do the run and everybody's kicking the guy, you know, what I never got was the guy who gets to eat is the guy that stands there and milks it. Like, let's say me. Hello?
Hello? Go ahead.
We lost somebody. Anyway, let's say me, Page, and Canyon run in on somebody. And Canyon and Page are kicking the guy's ass. I'm just going to stand there and raise my arms in the air. Who do you think's going to have the heat? The 2 guys kicking or the guy raising his arms in the air? The guy raising the arms in the air. Because he's the guy that's going, yeah, we're getting over. People are going, fuck you, you suck. That's basic, but nobody gets that. Everybody wants to kick. That's not where the heat is.
We are out of time. So, we got to go.
Good thing I was done talking.
I know. I was just waiting. So, anyway, we're out of time right now. We're going to have Diamond Dallas Page on tomorrow. We're going to have Bruce Hart on Thursday, if Nova calls up again. And that's pretty much it. So, anyway, for everyone, we'll be back here at 6 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Then you have a My Match, which is a soap opera, you know, like a WWF-style soap opera match. I mean, you got the whole gamut, and the people are so lively and so into it. I mean, it's truly, you know, and I'm kind of pissed that everyone stole this from me, but I was the first one to coin it. But it's the Rocky Horror Picture of Wrestling. It's not quite the same with the fan participation as it was because the fans used to bring foreign objects.
Yeah, when the fans brought the weapons, it was, yeah.
It was now they take them away for insurance purposes, but it was like now that's why I don't even fight in the crowd because it's boring. I mean, all you can do is punch in the crowd. Whereas in the old days, somebody hands you a Godzilla doll, next guy hands you a cheese grater. I mean, it was so cool, But the atmosphere, the people still feel like they're the rebel fans, and I'll tell you, it's like we were. You there?
I'm here.
All right, my phone must have clicked. Anyway, we were at this bar, the Boathouse, on Saturday, and telling you, the place it was ridiculous how mad crazy these people were, and what's cool about it was like during one spot, me and Mikey fell out of the ring, went out to the thing, and then I punched him back through the curtain, right? Then and then I shook hands with everybody in the locker room, turned around and fought right back out of the curtain, just to entertain the boys, behind it watching at the curtain. But there was a deep section of the fans that couldn't even see while we were on this side of the floor. And it was cool because they're like, hey, we can't see. And they got a little, hey, we can't see, Chan. You know what I mean? And it's like, but it wasn't like, hey, fuck you guys suck. We can't see. It was like, they felt like, hey, we're part of the show. Hey, include us. We popped right back up, gave them their view, and they applauded it. I mean, it was like, it's a really weird bond they got. You know what I mean? It's just, if more people knew about it, I just can't see people not wanting to be a part of it.
Okay.
It's addictive.
I mean, I completely agree with you about the house show quality, and Brian, I think your comment was perfect as far as WCW does a great job promoting Killing of a Town. I mean, because they come in there, they generally promote the shows. How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer from San Jose, California. And we will be talking wrestling for the next 2 hours. We've got Brian Alvarez on for the first half hour, and then we also have Raven, who will be on with us right from the start of the show. He's going to be here for the entire 2 hours. So we'll be taking your phone calls, 1-877-392-3200, your emails at davemeltzer@iata.com. We're going to start with the news. We've got Brian, you up right now?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I was going to ask you a whole bunch of stuff because I don't know anything that's going on. I guess when we start, did Beyond the Mat get an Academy Award nomination?
No.
It did not. Was it all announced? I mean, is it like final that it didn't, or what's the story on that?
I pretty much saw all the nominations this morning, and for documentary it wasn't in there, so I think that's the final nominations, but I could be wrong, so you might want to have somebody call, but I mean, as of right now, it's not up there.
Okay, I'm going to go check on it, because somebody had told me that the best documentary wouldn't be up until Wednesday, but then I don't know. I kind of heard that they were all going to be announced this morning, so I guess it didn't. Brian, real quick also, I got a bunch of emails when I got home about what Joey Styles said on the Law show, but what did Joey Styles say in the press conference, and what's that all about?
I am almost absolutely certain, and the only reason I can't say absolutely is because I don't have it on tape, but I'm almost certain that what he said was that there was a good chance ECW could surpass WCW in a couple of months.
I find that that's believable.
In what? Not in TV ratings. That's not believable at all.
Why not? If we get cross-promoted, which maybe that's what they're alluding to, which I'd like to see, if people knew, if they started advertising on Raw and Nitro, nationally, which I know obviously you can't buy national spots, but they, basically canvass it like other shows do, I think we could easily get those kind of ratings. I just don't think enough people know we're on the air. I don't think enough people know we exist.
I don't think you're going from a 1-1 to a 3.
I think the only problem that would really stand in the way, even with all the cross-promotion, is the time slot that ECW has right now, Friday night.
What?
No, that's not really, the number of people watching TV on Friday night, it's about 10% less than Monday night, but...
Aren't they in the 2s anyway?
They did a 3-7 last night. They did a 2-7 the week before.
Okay, so I was thinking 2-7. So you figure they're in the mid-2s. We're in the low mid-1s. I definitely think we could be competitive if we got if there was advertisements on Raw saying, "Hey, you like this show? check this out, and a 30-second spot of guys going through flaming tables with thumbtacks, and a barbed wire dildo or whatever the hell, I mean, just whatever kind of crap we can come up with, being facetious with the barbed wire dildo, of course. But, and people go, wow, I gotta watch that at least once. And once they watch it once, Paulie's a master of episodic television. They're gonna go, ooh, I gotta watch this next week. He's gonna, like, the commercial will get you to go, I gotta watch that once. It's like one of those, one of those shows where, like, they promise death and destruction, real-life police executions, or, the whole Fox line of real programming where people look like they're going to get hurt, when animals attack. You see a 30-second spot for us, and you go, I'm going to watch it once. The difference is you watch it once, are you going to continue to watch it? Is it going to be one good rating? Or, and you may miss it the first time. So if we do like 5 weeks of national spots, I think we're going to hook viewers, because sooner or later everyone's going to tune in to see us once. You watch us once. If you're a real wrestling fan, if you're a pretty strong casual fan, you're going to tune in twice and 3 times, and you're going to be hooked.
No,
I truly believe that.
I really don't think there's a chance that it's going to beat WCW numbers, and not in the next couple months. The only way it could is if by some means they get on USA Network on Monday night, like if Vince abandons USA, then I think that they could be pretty competitive, but not on TNN, unless
TNN they're in like a huge amount of cable homes, though, aren't they?
They're in the same amount of cable homes almost as I think TNN's about 75.8 million, and I think let's see, TNT's about 77.2 million. So they're roughly the same. But I just don't see it. You're talking about you'd have to basically almost triple your rating to be where they are now.
You have to double it. We're doing a 1-3. They're doing a 2-6.
You haven't done a 1-3 in weeks. You did a 1-1 this week. They did a 3. They did a 3-7 this week, although that's unusually high.
That's because it's unopposed.
That was because it's unopposed. But, for a 2-hour format.
So they're averaging a 2-6, and
they're not averaging a 2-6.
They've only done a 1-2, 1-3.
They're averaging a 3-1 in the 2-hour format. You're averaging about a 1-0 or a 1-1. You got a triple.
Oh, maybe we got a triple. Okay, so,
that's a lot.
Then give us a few. Then maybe my estimation's off. All I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is, I don't even know what Joey said, but
I don't either.
I would expect you to concur with the fact that if people knew we were on the air, they would be watching.
Believe me, I think that your rating's going to go up, and I don't think theirs is, but I just don't think they're going to cross paths that fast.
Well, I'll put it this way: as far as like the big 3, I think that
I do think Roller Jam's going to go by rate.
What was that?
I think Roller Jam's going to go up like a son of a bitch to that Rockin' Bowl.
I think pay-per-views, they could be competitive really soon. I think
they're pretty darn close to
chance that
pay-per-view, you're already competitive.
Yeah, 15,000 buys separated the last pay-per-view?
20,000 buys separated the last pay-per-view.
So they're close there. As far as house shows, I think there's a chance they could be competitive there.
You know what our problem with house shows is just a lack of promotion.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Greg Bag of Donuts.
The thing that you guys have is you don't have the promotion, but when you put on a show, it's a pretty packed show. Whereas WCW can promote them all they want, but all they do is they promote the killing of a town.
We got some lively-ass people, too. You got guys like Van Dam. Even though he's out, but, these guys go 30 minutes. 20 to 30 minutes is just nonstop. Acrobatics galore, you know what I mean? So you got that aspect. Then you got, like, Balls Mahoney, who's going to, catch himself on fire.
Very well in the local market. And then, you have the no-shows and you have the poor work rate. And you have 1/3 of the roster there. And
I'm telling you, when I was on the show, when me and Hack would be on the cards, and we would go out and have our prop match, our carrot top match. And the thing was, the undercard, I would say for at least 3 of the matches, sometimes 4, there would be guys wrestling that hadn't even been on TV, that had either not been on TV in the last 6 months or hadn't won a match in the last 6 months. On both, fighting each other. Yeah. So, why would anybody care? The last thing I want to see is 2, jabronis fighting each other. I don't care if they're the greatest wrestlers ever. If these guys, if they've never won on TV, why would I pay to see them?
Kind of like the Demon, huh?
Hey, Del Zorberg's a good kid. He means well.
I know, but it's just like they spend all this money. I mean, I was back there last night at Nassau, and I saw this giant coffin-looking thing, and this big. They got to wheel this thing out, and this guy comes out, and they beat him in 10 seconds. I'm going like,
no, they didn't.
If you're going to beat him in 10 seconds, why don't you save the coffin when you got your own like Undertaker or something?
All that stuff has to be contractually that they have to do that. They have to be obligated.
I know that, but still, then get someone who they'll let win. I mean, it's just like.
But it's like that's the entire point. They were like forced into this goofy thing by Kiss, and so they're just going to absolutely just kill off the character dead.
They made a big production and then just killed the guy off.
Yeah, every week they do it every week. It's not like they just did it last night. Yeah, it's not like they just did it last night.
Well, I don't watch Nitro. I only watch Raw.
Yeah, well, I unfortunately I was at Nitro last night, so.
Well, part
by
of
the
your
way,
job description is you have to watch the program, whereas I can pick and choose what I want to watch.
Yeah, I actually missed Raw last night, and it was like about 7 or 8 miles from my house, but I missed it. So we'll talk about that. What? Good show last night, Brian. Tell me.
Always a good show.
Tell me about Raw. Tell me about Raw, because I don't know anything about Raw other than I saw Benoit give Rock a German suplex after Big Show interfered, and I think I saw some Valentine stuff with Mark Henry.